Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Now our group will be present to the audience about the life expectancy of the ASEAN regions. So I'm Muhammad Ashraf bin Asi alias Aziz as the head of the data scientist, accompanied by Nur Hafizan binti Cik Nah and Nurul Erni Nadia binti Mak Yasin will give an info and result from our findings about the life expectancy of ASEAN. Okay, actually life expectancy is the average age of members of that particular group of people will be until their death. So it's considered as the lifespan of every particular group of person. So it is not same for every region, for ASEAN, American, African, and so on. So that for the World Health Organization, it is their job to do some research and development that can produce a knowledge that they can spread to the citizens around the world. Based on our information, the main cause of this life expectancy is currently about the health issues, but actually it is not rely on the health issue only. There are more other issues that affect the life expectancy of the person. So it is make sense for us to study life expectancy for ASEAN as our chosen region, because ASEAN is close to us for the Malaysians. Okay, there are several project aims for this study. The first one is to explicit the general knowledge to the readers. As we know that the life expectancy should be the knowledge that everyone should know about it. The second one is to analyze the data set about the life expectancy of the ASEAN region, because as we as the one of the citizen in the ASEAN, so it is compulsory for us to analyze about this data. So the third one is to the readers for brainstorming of ideas to overcome these issues, so that we can manage to longer our life expectancy, so that the people can stay alive for a very long time.
For scope of analysis, the dataset contains 20 attributes that divide into 4 categories, which is immunization-related factor, economic factor, mortality factor, and social factor. This study only focus on Asian country. The data used for this study from 2010 until 2015. The objective of this study is, first, to understand the dataset and find the related data of the study. Second, to identify the point of discussion for life expectancy in Asia. And last is to analyze the insight for the life expectancy.
Many research has been done through this case study. For example, by Liu and the team members, these researchers said that the survival of the older age is quite hard than to the younger age. It is because the health of the older is quite weaker than the younger age. So they conclude that health become the main issue of the life expectancy among the older population. According to Wang and the team members, economy can help to increase the life expectancy of the population. It is because by allocating the several budgets or higher into the health related concerns, it may help to increase the life expectancy and reduce the death of the populations.
According to Cavalate and Sunday 2009, in pre-transitional countries, increasing life expectancy can increase the population growth and tend to reduce income per capita. In post-transitional country, increasing life expectancy lead to lower population growth, greater human capital, and increased income per capita. According to Monsell and Mehjardi 2015, they state that for economic factor, unemployment rate, inflation rate, gross capital formation, and gross national income has influenced life expectancy. For social environmental factor, urbanity is the cause for mortality.
Okay, another study also been conducted by Peter, Quilly and Kaplan on 2015 that studied about the relationship between educational and life expectancy. At the end of this study, they conclude that educational attainment has a strong relationship with life expectancy and can reduce the disability and illness at the same time. Okay, the last study had been conducted by Jiang, Luo, Su and Wang on 2018 that conduct a study to identify does social development influence life expectancy. At the end of this study, they conclude that there is positive effect on life expectancy with education and healthcare development. Okay, my name is Nuraini Nadia binti Mayasis and let's proceed with methodology. There are several steps in methodology, which the first one is data collection, data description, data dictionary, data preparation, derivative attribute, functional requirement, and the last one is data issue. Okay, for the first one, which is data collection, the source of this data set is from Kaggle, and there are 22 columns and 2939 number of rows available in this data set. Okay, for the second step, which is data description, the name of this data set is life expectancy, while the URL for this data set is as follows, and there are 22 attributes altogether in this data set. Okay, this table shows the list of attributes available in this dataset and its description, where the attribute consists from the country, year, status, life expectancy, adult maturity, infant deaths, alcohol, percentage of expenditure, hepatitis B, measles, and BMI. Okay, while this table shows the containers of another attribute for this dataset, which consists of under 5 death, polio, dental expenditure, diphtheria, HIV or AIDS, GDP, population, teenagers between 1 to 19 years old, teenagers from 5 to 9 years, income composition of resource, and schooling. Okay, now we are moving to the third step, which is data dictionary. There are 5 things altogether need to be included in this step, which the first one is of course the attribute, the second one is the data type, the third one is the data format, followed by the field size, and the last one is description. Okay, the summarization of all needed things in data dictionary are as in the table. Okay, while this table shows another half of data dictionary in this data set. Okay, now let's move to data preparation. There are 5 steps used in data preparation. The first one is data collection. This data set is retrieved from Kaggle. The second one is data cleansing. Data cleansing is actually the process of converting the blank cell into non-available or SNA. There are 2563 blank cells in this dataset. The third one is data coding. Data coding is the process of transforming the existing dataset by using code. Okay, for this dataset, we apply it at the status attribute, where the developing status had been changed to 0 and the developer changed into 1. Okay, the next step is data classification. Data classification is actually the process of grouping the attributes that have the same character into one group. For this dataset, the attribute had been classified into 4 groups altogether. And the last step is data visualization. For data visualization, we have used Power BI as the tool to visualize the information. Okay, the visualization is important for a better understanding about the information in the dataset to be read by the user. Okay, now let's move to derivative attribute. The first new attribute for this dataset is the adult mortality rate. So this table shows the range for adult mortality rate, which is set as the benchmark for the adult mortality rate itself. Okay, the second new attribute is the BMI class. As we can see in this table, there are 5 classes of BMI. Okay, so by using this new attribute, it can make others easier to classify the BMI rate for each country. And the last new attribute is level of alcohol rate. And the range of level of alcohol is shown in this table. Okay, this table is to differentiate the different level of alcohol consumption. Next is functional requirement. Functional requirement is actually a system that describes clearly the system service in details. It also specifies what a system should do. For example, in this life expectancy dataset, the system needs to able to provide information such as the BMI record to anyone who want the information, or in other words, it can provide any information without any problem. The last one is the data issue. There is only one issue in this dataset, which is about the blend cell. There are 2563 blend cells altogether and consists from 14 attributes, which is the adult maturity, the life expectancy, the alcohol, hepatitis B, BMI, polio, total expenditure, HIV or AIDS, GDP, the population, teens from 10 to 19 years, teens from 5 to 9 years, income, and also schooling. For finding and analysis, the first chart showed the waterfall chart of life expectancy for Asean by considering the changes for every 5 years. From this chart, we can see that the largest changes is by Cambodia and the lowest is by Philippines. Cambodia might have the largest changes since they are able to lower down their mortality rate and they are practicing healthy habits of eating at that time. Hence, we can conclude that there are numerous factors that can affect life expectancy in each country.
The stack area chart shows the polio immunization provided to the Asian country. The highest number of polio immunization provided is in Brunei and Vietnam. Indonesia shows the lower country that cover immunization for the children. Immunization is important as strong antibodies can fight a disease.
The third chart shows about the final charts of adult mortality and also infant death. For the left side of chart, it is about the infant death. The result shows that Indonesia conquered the first place, which is about 2 times more than the second place, while Brunei and Singapore record a null value for the infant death. It may be affected by the size of population of each country, as Indonesia is the 4th largest size of population in the world. For the right side of the chart, it is about the adult mortality. It shows that Philippines recorded the first place of the adult mortality, while Singapore and Brunei still at the bottom two of the chart. It may be because that the health concerns and hospitality of Brunei and also Singapore are in the top level than the others. The fourth chart shows about the BMI rate and also the income composition of resources. As the line chart referring to the BMI rate, it shows that Brunei, Malaysia and Singapore recorded a overweight BMI rate, while Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos and also Vietnam recorded as the underweight BMI rate. Maybe because of the unmanageable consumption of food and also lack of exercises. Okay, for the income composition of resources, it is recorded according to the value of Human Development Index. From the bar chart shows, it says that Brunei and Singapore have the top value of Human Development Index, which are more than 0.8, while Cambodia and Myanmar have the lower value of Human Development Index, which are less than 0.5. It shows that Malaysia are between both top value and also middle value, which is good enough and not too weak enough. From the line chart and also the bar, there is a positive relationship among BMI rate and also income composition of resources, except for Vietnam, which is a negative relationship among BMI rates and also income composition of the resources.
The figures show the status and total expenditure by Asian country from the year 2011 until 2015. It showed that only Singapore is the developed country, while another Asian country is still in developing status. From the stacked bar chart, it showed that Vietnam has the highest percentage of total expenditure for every year. The lower percentage of total expenditure is recorded in Laos. It shows that the status of the country does not affect the total expenditure on the whole.
Okay, this chart shows the relationship between schooling and the average life expectancy by country. Schooling here is one of the attributes in social factor. From this chart, we can see that Laos has the lowest value since at this time, they focus more on health factor compared to education factor, while we can see that Singapore has the largest value since their education performance is very good in every aspect in this time. Thus, we can see that social factor also affect the country life expectancy like other factor effect.
From the infographic, we can see that on the right side, it is about the influencing factors of the life expectancy, which is divided into 4 factors. The first one is the immunization related. The second one is the mortality. The third one is the economy, and also the last one is the social factor. On the left side, we can see that the rank of the life expectancy data of the Asean regions according to the countries.
For the discussion from chart 1, we can see the average of life expectancy for Asian country. All the Asian countries shows the increasing pattern of the average life expectancy. The highest increase is Cambodia. From the chart 2, it shows the immunization factor, which is polio immunization. As we know, immunization is important for children. It can help to increase the life expectancy. The chart 3 also shows the immunization factor, which is infant death and adult mortality. The chart shows the differences between the two attributes. It shows that the successful country like Singapore has the lower mortality rate. The chart 4 shows the relationship between economical factor and mortality factor, which is income composition of resources and BMI. It shows that if the income composition of resources increase, the BMI also increase. The chart 5 shows the economic factor, which is status and total expenditure on health. It shows that only Singapore is the developed country, while another Asian country is still in developing status. It shows that Vietnam has the highest spending total expenditure on health, while the lowest is Laos. We can see that the status of the country does not affect the total expenditure on health. From the chart C, it shows the social factor, which is schooling. Education also affect the life expectancy. The proper education can help to increasing the life expectancy. The limitation of this study is the dataset does not have complete data. There is some attribute that has missing value. Besides, the dataset also give the unclear information. There is no detailed explanation about the attribute. So, for the recommendation of this study, the researcher need to provide a complete data and give a clear explanation for all attributes. There are many visualization tools that can use, like Power BI, to generate and explore about the dataset and generate the complex chart. In conclusion, there is various ways to visualize the data into the complex chart. The dataset used for this study is suitable to make the visualization. It shows that life expectancy is the important to measure the level of healthiness. From this study, it showed that Singapore is the Asian country that has the highest life expectancy.